right, and we are back, Rabbit and Red Radio. Right now we have a special guest on the line. We have this upcoming great director, by the way. And this is what I saw on his new upcoming film, Mr. Mullen, which I love. It's a 12-minute feature. Go to MrMullenFilm.com. I love it due to the simple fact. What I love mostly about this is just the look of it. I believe we have on right now Mr. Scott Goldberg.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, Scott, are you there? Oh,
yeah,
thank you for doing this.
No problem.
And even thank you for letting me try to chop together in a half hour. Wanted to make a teaser trailer to Mr. Mullen.
Right. No problem.
So, first off, what I saw, the first thing that stuck out to me when I saw this is it's completely different from whatever typical horror movie that's out there to do this storyline, because you're adding a political element to it, which you really don't see in a lot of horror-based horror thriller films. So what inspired you to come up with this idea?
I guess it's just basically the events of what's going on basically in today's society, and trying to just comment on it. I think people like George Romero did that with Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, a lot of his films, and there are other filmmakers who are doing that outside the horror genre. So we felt, independently, since we're producing films ourselves and Hollywood's not backing it, figured why not speak out and speak about how we feel about politics and society and the dumbing down of society and basically the things that are happening today right before our eyes.
In the view of the movie, say politically, you're looking at this from, let's say, an independent view. It's not, are you doing it more, how do I put this? You're not bashing one side or the other when it comes to the political spectrum of Republican, Democrat. This is just the overall bare bones view of what's going on.
Yeah, correct. And the belief of Chris's character in the film believes that it's basically that both parties are lying and that the whole system is corrupt, which there is, truth to that. I guess that's kind of what inspired us. A lot of things in the news, the mainstream media, trying to tell people how to think and not presenting all the information out there for the people to decide. So a lot of alternative news we feel is important, as well as independent media, and sharing that with people in general.
And that's what I liked about it. Plus, you won an award at a film festival, Best Cinematography.
Right.
I can see that in this film because there's certain parts. I know that this is supposed to take place in present day, but some shots in a great way looks like it's from almost like a 30s kind of 40s feel to it, especially with the scene with the snowfall. And now your goal with this film is you want to have this out by 2011, 2012.
Correct. Well, we just want to basically get people aware of a lot of things that are happening within the world and society, and not necessarily change things, but to kind of make people think, okay, well, maybe there is something wrong here. What can we do to speak out about it with our art? I'm always inspired by people like Bill Hicks and George Carlin, who were two comedians who passed away, and they spoke a lot of truth. So that's something that inspires me, and then I see with my own eyes, exactly what they were talking about. I'm seeing it in current events, and so I'm like, wow, they make me think. So I'd like to kind of share that with others and make them think as well. So that's basically, what we're trying to do, rather than have the same generic slash or zombie film or a thing that's been redone over and over. Now, granted, there could be elements, typical storytelling in any filmmaker, independent or Hollywood. But what you try to do with each film is expand and become better and better with each film.
And I can agree with that. I think that's what really, after that I saw it, and it's like, wow, at least this is something new. It's a fresh breath of air. And I was going to get to that with, because I saw in the beginning of it, it said, Bill Hicks.
Right.
I've been doing stand-up for 8 years. Bill Hicks, any comedian, any good comedian, anybody who's smart, respects Bill Hicks. And we all hate Dennis Leary because Dennis Leary stole from Bill Hicks.
Right.
But Bill Hicks always had such a great, it's a shame that he never got the due respect while he was alive. And I do love how you're putting a different element to it. I saw some trivia. You said that Tom Atkins is your favorite actor.
Right. The horror actor, one of my favorites. Yeah, I really loved his work in Halloween 3. I think even though there's not Michael Myers in it, it's still a really good film, and I guess the direction they were going with. A lot of people didn't like it at the time, but looking back on it, I think it was kind of like a noble effort. If you think about it, it kind of has still an eerie feeling. It's nothing like the original. Of course, the original is the best, in my opinion, of the series. But it's a cool aspect. Also, Night of the Creeps, of course, and you have him in Creep Show, and so I really like his acting in horror films. So as far as like horror actors, I really enjoy his work tremendously.
I couldn't agree with you more with Halloween 3. Yeah, a lot of people, they look at it from one view, oh, Michael Myers not in it. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but the producers of Halloween wanted to. They wanted it mostly from Universal. They wanted to make it different, almost like a Tales from the Crypt. Halloween 3 is a great movie for 2 reasons. One, you have a great story, and 2, that music behind it really gives it that eerie feel. Plus, the cinematography, the directing, Tommy Lee Wallace, it's great. And Tom Atkins also, I don't know if you saw him, but the remake to My Bloody Valentine, he was awesome in that.
Right, okay. I'd bet to see it. I've heard some good things about it, so I might check it out soon.
If you ever saw the original, you should love the remake. I'll put it to you. I wasn't a fan of the original My Bloody Valentine.
I'd bet to see that either. But I may have to check it out. And also, here's a little trivia as well, that, people say he's not in it, but he is in it on a TV screen in the bar in a section of the film where, where, I mean, that's an on-screen thing when you see the Halloween showing at 8 o'clock on the TV screen. But yeah, as far as him being physically in the film, yeah, he's definitely not. But I think that's what kind of made the film more unique. Because I think John Carpenter was coming from a point of view where he didn't want to redo the same thing because he had written the characters for part 2, and so maybe they thought it was a spent force, I guess, so to say, and so I guess that's probably why they didn't want to do that, and they wanted to maybe go down a different path.
Yeah, they did want to make it to everyone was going to be a different series. Now, here's a question I wanted to ask you. Let's say you got the opportunity to remake Halloween, which Rob Zombie did.
Right.
First off, did you even see Rob Zombie's Halloween as a director? You have seen it.
Yes, I've seen the first one, not the second one. A little bit of the second one. What did I think?
Not so much of the second one.
Yeah, I don't know. It was different. I mean, especially when I think I might have saw maybe the DVD screener or something. I think it was early, but then I had seen the film on TV after, like a year or so later. I mean, I think it was pretty much cluttered. He had so much to work with the who Michael Myers is and who he was when he was younger, and it seemed a little too different. I think keeping what John Carpenter had is good, but I think Rob Zombie had his own vision, and I guess when they were getting the film out in trailers and everything, I think people the people who were marketing it tried to make it look like it was like the new wave of horror, as well with Hatchet as well, which I really despise. That movie was pretty horrible in my opinion. I like Rob Zombie. I'm not gonna try to bash his work because he seems like a nice person. As far as his films, I'm not really sure if I really enjoy them as much. I have not seen The Devil's Rejects or House of a Thousand Corpses, although I've heard that Devil's Rejects is far superior than The House of a Thousand Corpses from nearly everyone I've talked to. But I'd definitely like to check them out very soon because I have heard a lot of good stuff about The Devil's Rejects. But as for Halloween, I thought it was okay at best. I didn't really think it was anything as far as special or anything to stand out. So I respect Rob's work, and I look forward to seeing upcoming work as long as it's original and unique. So.
I agree with you. That we have on the line right now, co-star of Mr. Mullen, the one, Dr. Paul Kratka. Dr. Paul.
Hello there.
Is
my sound okay?
Oh no, you sound great. Did I not butcher your name horribly?
Oh no. You can call me anything but late for dinner. I'm good.
I kept practicing. Well, no, wait, I think I got there. So I have to call you doctor. I mean, you don't just. We have
Appreciate that.
We have on also director of Mr. Mullen, Scott Goldberg, and we're just dissecting into the film. And I was telling Scott that what I loved about it. It was the originality behind it. Because you don't see in a lot of horror movies putting a political message into a horror movie. And if you can, just tell us, and we're not going to bombard you with stupid Friday the 13th Part 3 questions, which I'm sure any interview you've done when it's based on horror, you got a bunch of idiots probably asking those same questions over and over again. Like, did your eye really pop out of your head? So, how's your experience working with Scott on Mr. Mullen? And how did you even go about, how did you guys get in contact with one another?
Well, you know, Scott and I don't know, Scott, I guess it's been at least 4 years now. Scott contacted me some years ago. I guess it was about 4 or 5 years now. I mean, we're such close friends now, it's hard to even think of us as a working relationship. But he contacted me about 4 or 5 years ago that he was doing a zombie film called The Day They Came Back. And he was a big fan of Friday the 13th, and he was this, young filmmaker, graduate of film school back in New York, and would I consider, working with him. And, I had kind of dual emotions. One, I was very flattered, as any actor, it doesn't take much to flatter an actor. But I was also, kind of concerned going, who is this guy? What's he really about? Does he represent quality and integrity and things like that? And so I kind of checked him out and talked to him, and then I flew back to New York because I was living in California at the time, and we did the film, and I came to have just such a wonderful respect and appreciation for Scott as a craftsman, as an artist, his skill sets as a cinematographer and as a filmmaker. As you can see, on these films, he's making short films, and they're not low budget, they're negative budget, and yet he puts out a piece of artistry every time. I mean, you look at the imagery is just captivating, and so I just found working with him, and then we share some similarities in our attitudes and paradigm around health, and then we have some common ground politically, and like you said, you just mentioned this. Mr. Mullen's an interesting take where he's put a political message that is so credible in today's world, and then he put it in the container of a horror movie, of a slasher film, and it's powerful, So I just love Scott. I love working with him, and I think he's a talent to be reckoned with. And if the guy ever gets some money to make a real film, it's going to be just so explosive.
And that's what I wanted to ask Scott about too. And Paul, you've probably seen this. You started out in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of people were putting out horror movies back then because it was so easy to put out back then. You didn't need a huge budget, and most of the time they would make a lot of money. They would not only just go double, triple, sometimes quadruple their money they put into it. Nowadays, with a young filmmaker, if you have, say, $5 to $10,000, you can really get yourself started, and hopefully you can be lucky enough to work with some great actors. And Scott, how has it been now for the past? You've been doing this for 6 years, about. When it comes to filmmaking.
Around that time, since I guess mid-2003 or so, 7 years.